All right. So I can see the attendees coming in. You're welcome. You're in the right place. We're just letting you in a minute or two early so we can hang out.
Oops. Absolutely.
Let's hang. Has everybody got coffee or their beverage of choice?
Yeah, you're going to need a seatbelt for this webinar for sure.
Seatbelts not
Seatbelts
provided.
on. Rebecca, some girl, almost my maiden name. Walmsley was my maiden name, but my name had an L in it.
I remember you were Dawn Walmsley Brolin.
That's right.
We're going back. We're going back in the Wayback Machine, though.
Back to the archives where they used to have microfiche.
I actually remember that, having to go and do research in libraries with microfiche. Yeah.
Oh,
tell us where you're calling in from, guys. If you in the Q&A or in the chat, just pop in.
Yeah, let us know where you're from.
Pop in where you're from.
Wisconsin. Okay, South Dakota. Let's go New England. Let's go Patriots.
Oh, Kansas, Wichita, Virginia, Texas, New Orleans. Oh, this is so fun.
I love it.
We have Katie is also in Kansas.
Kentucky.
Oh, sorry, Kentucky. Oh my gosh.
Okay, one of those K-states.
Go Packers.
Oh, that's hilarious.
There's a cheesehead on the call.
We were just talking about cheese before we started, weren't we, Dawn?
Yes, we were talking about cheese and dogs.
Nikki is from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Sharon Means from Cleveland. Oh, I miss her.
Hi, Sharon.
Sharon, haven't seen you in a while, honey.
Oh, this is so fun. This is like a reunion of everybody. So fun.
All
All right. Well, Dawn, I think we're at the top of the hour. Let's go ahead and get started. So
yeah, why not?
Yeah. So Katie and I are going to go, we're going to disappear off screen. And all of you know Dawn, and some of you know me, Allison Ball, and probably hardly any of you know Katie, who's my partner in crime over at here at Liscio. But we are so excited to have Dawn here today to talk about how you can basically set yourself up for success moving forward based on what you need to improve from your past season. So this is like the perfect time to be sort of doing your metaphorical, what would you call it, spring cleaning maybe, right? In your practice a little bit and getting yourself ready for a really, really exciting year ahead. So without any further ado, Dawn, welcome and thank you so much for helping us with this webinar today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. You know, processes and implementing technologies is like what I've been focused on with my firm for the last good handful of years, and solidifying really for nothing else for myself. It's maybe a selfish move, but it's really about me wanting to have a life, me wanting to be able to really get my work done. So I'm excited about this webinar. This is a call out to CAS. This is Client Accounting Services. And whether you're doesn't matter what you do, but we're all dealing in client accounting services in some capacity, because guess what? We're working with clients, okay? Client, the first part of that acronym anyway. So we're gonna do this little year after action review for year end and 1099s. And this is something that I really reached out to Allison and was passionate about, because this is kind of the process that I've been going through over the last 3-4 years to really make sure I'm nailing things down. And I just wanna share it with all of you. My name is DawnBrolin. Used to be Dawn Walmsley Brolin for those in the as the participants who have a name very close to my middle name. Anyway, so I am the founder of Team Brolin. We are Powerful Accounting out of Windham, Connecticut. So we're in the New England area. I'm really focused on helping right now, of course, my clients, and tax season's here, and I've got some fraud cases I've been working on, which I love to do. So the client communications there are really critical, especially when it comes to having that protecting identity, protecting and security risks and things like that I'm passionate about. But I also wrote a book, The Designated Motivator for Accounting Professionals, and that was really geared for all of you. And it's all about being able to help you all improve your processes, which was what we're here to do today. So I'm just basically giving you a little piece of how I run my practice and how I look at making changes and making sure things are running smoothly for my firm, so that I can go ahead and coach softball at Eastern Connecticut State University, who is going after a national tournament this year. And that's what I love to do. Not that I don't love to do deal with my clients and stuff, but anyway, that's just a little introduction to me. I've got a little bit of energy, as you've noticed, that at the end of this hour, you'll be fired up and ready to go and, just make your practice improve. So why would you want to do this after action review? Like, what is the point of that? And really, for me, in my opinion, it's our responsibility as the firm owner, the practice manager, to ensure that our team hums around year round, right? So basically meaning that they are, I'm just going to close this because my emails keep bumping in, as you can hear them. But really, we want the technology, the processes, and the training to be right. And it's our responsibility to make those decisions, though we include our team members to help us do that. But it's really our responsibility to take charge of that and ensure that our team are being able to do their job and accomplish things quickly, easily, and productively. We need our clients to do their part. We, as the firm owner, I know in my practice, if a client's not responding to, now I'm going to call it texting, but it's texting through Liscio, but we're going to call it texting. It's not traditional texting, but it's the same thing. But we got to say, hey, listen, if we're sending out this correspondence to our clients and they're not responding, maybe we're even calling them, whatever it may be, our clients have to participate. And so, and we'll talk a little bit later about the ways in which our clients participate. But my responsibility as the firm owner is if Nicole on my team is reaching out to a client and they're not responding, I'm calling that client. Listen, we need to do these particular things for you, and you're not responding, and that's just not going to work. It doesn't work. That would not be considered an ideal client for our firm. So my job is to make sure that's happening. We want to make sure the staff is ready to collaborate. We want them to be able to work together to accomplish the goals that we have for our clients. And so again, our responsibility is to make sure that they have the tools in order to do that. Okay. The work is getting done and no one gets burned out. I mean, I've had employees quit because they were overworked because we had antiquated systems that to get their job done took them longer. So that was my responsibility. And of course, it's my job to make sure that my clients are happy. If my clients aren't happy, they're going to go somewhere else. We want our clients to refer work to us. Oh my goodness, I brought Dawn my tax documents, and within 24 hours, I had the return was complete. My refund was there in 3 days. And they talk about that to their friends, especially during tax season. Or they say, you know what, I've got this bookkeeper and she makes sure that all my W-9s are in place. And she's amazing because she corresponds with me through an app that works wonderfully, whatever the case may be, but you're getting it. These are the responsibilities. And this is why we need to do this after action review. And then of course, it's going to tell you what worked for you over the last, say, even couple months, over the last year, 2 years, 3 years. It'll tell you what worked and what doesn't work. And then allows you in a timely fashion to pull that information out of your team and out of your clients. I suggest that you talk with them as well. How are things going, right? We don't have a lot of time for that, but we need to make time as the firm owner. So today our agenda, why the after action review? We just talked about that. So we're good, got it covered. How are we going to conduct that action review, that after action review? How are we going to do that? How are we going to address the concerns from what we find? What are we going to do once we realize there are problems? How are we going to get clients to do their part? And of course, we're going to cover setting everyone up for success for year round, not just when it's convenient, but really when it's mostly inconvenient. So we're going to talk about that as well. Now, before we move forward, of course, polling question number 1, Katie's going to go ahead and launch that for us. Go ahead, Katie. So she'll put that up. So what was your biggest challenge? These are the key things. I want you to really think about it and stop for a second. I always say, open your coconut, open up your brain. What was your biggest challenge during year end and 1099 season? So, the January month is insane. Clients not responding when you're asking them for, hey, I need you to verify the 1099s. This is what we're sending. Are you okay with this? Initial it, so on. Missing W-9s, nightmare. Staff having to look into too many places for data. Data silos created confusion and efficiencies. Data silos, meaning you've got emails over here, you got texts over here, you have phone calls over here, you have stuff coming in the mail, you have all these other things going on. Of course, all the above. And if there's anything else, some kind of other, put that in the Q&A panel. May not even have anything to do with these things, but whatever were your biggest challenges. I know for me, historically, it's that, I don't have time through the year to really manage W-9s. I get to January and I'm freaking out because I've got 30 days, because I don't work on January 1st. I've got 30 days to try to pull this all together. and I expect my clients to be responsive. Well, guess what they're doing? Running their business. So we'll count this down in 5, 4, 3. Make sure you answer your polling question, everybody. 2, 1. Okay, Katie, you can go ahead and close. Let's launch those results. I'd like to see what we have there. Okay, so missing W-9s, all of the above. So we're all definitely having quite a bit of issues here during that time period. Awesome. Missing W-9s is one of our biggest things. We're going to talk about that. Awesome. Okay, you can close the poll. We'll move on to the next section here. So how are we going to conduct that after action reviews? Like, one of the things that I realized like right away, that it's hard for me to justify the fact that, okay, another year went by, everybody. Okay, yep, I struggle with W-9s yet again. Okay, but if I sit there and I do nothing and I expect the results to be different in January of 2023, that's insanity. Okay, so in order for us to have a better year end, we've got to start thinking of doing something different. So we're going to look at things like, what did we do well? These are the things you're going to want to think about. What did we do well and what didn't we do well? Well, we didn't do a great job of kind of monitoring W-9s throughout the year last year, and we were really jammed in January. Okay, there's a pain point. We've got to solve for that, because if you keep doing the same thing, we're going to have the same issues. If there was something that was broken or stressful, yeah, I called this one client 80 times. Well, that may not have anything to do even with client communications. That may be an opportunity for you to say, you know what? I'm giving you one more chance. If you are not going to respond to our requests for us to do your job that we need to do for you, then maybe it's time that we part ways. And I did that with a couple of people last year because I was tired of chasing them. Regardless of any method that I tried to come up with for them, we just weren't a priority to them. So we needed to move on in that case. So again, we want to have this after action review to take a look. Now, here's what we're going to do. You're going to grab your team and you're going to take some time. And this is an investment of time, people. This is not wasting time or costing you money. This is an investment in what's going to come in the future. As we said before, if your staff isn't happy, they're not going to stick around. They're not going to stick around if they don't see you trying to make a change and change a process. They're counting on you as the firm owner to do that. So we're going to gather that team together. You know, I think either like a Friday afternoon when everybody's kind of like, wow, this week was really rough. Oh, hold on. Let's have a quick, half an hour, 15-minute, half an hour meeting, and let's talk about what was rough this week. And let's try to solve for that, because you know what? It's going to be a long 2-3 months. Whether, again, you're doing tax returns or you're doing bookkeeping, it's the same thing. What we want to do when we gather together, first of all, I like to start with the positive. What went really well and why? This is something we do with the softball team. We call it Warrior of the Week. We say, okay, you know what went well this week? What did we did great base running, or, our throws are really solid. I feel like we're really hitting the ball well, whatever that may be. To give that positive reinforcement, to make them, start off with that positive. So with your team, hey, what went really well this year? Oh, you know what went really well? We were able to get 80% of our 1099s done by January 20th. Well, that's awesome. So those kind of things that, yeah, you know what? We did a really good job with keeping up with the bookkeeping throughout the year. We didn't fall behind with any clients. So that was a real positive. So it made it a little bit better in January. Awesome. Then we've got to sit down and say, and with what went well, why did it go well? Was there a new system you implemented that made that process better? Did you, like for our firm, we meet periodically, usually in the off season of tax season, we meet once a month. We go through the bookkeeping, we talk about the challenges, we talk about the great things that are happening, and we shift and pivot and say, okay, well, maybe we need to implement something different. But when the things that went well, we want to identify why they went well. It helps people understand why, when we do make changes, that they make sense, because then we have a positive at year end. What things didn't go well? Well, those are typically easy to find because people are still angry and frustrated with it. I think you can find that as you go on a regular basis, but we want to write that down. Hey, okay, so we have all these things that were painful. This is a great process. Prioritize them. You've got, okay, here are the 10 things that we've identified as stumbling blocks at year end and during 1099 season, whatever it may be. So then we prioritize things. Okay. Is it a 1? That means it's a really big problem. We've got to go nail it down and we've got to come up with a solution like today. or tomorrow. And then there's like, you know what, this one was really painful, but we know really it's an error in January, it's an issue in January specifically, then that's something we have a little bit of time to do. So maybe that goes to priority 3. Or those that we say, you know, right after tax season, we're fixing these things. Those are maybe priority number 2. So you can categorize priority 1, 2, and 3 and make that list and then say, guess what? Hey, Mary, you brought up the fact that we have issues gathering W-9s through the year. Why don't you lead the charge on how we think we can, you know, solve that problem? If you as the firm owner already feel like you have a good solution, propose it to the people who are feeling the pain points and say, what do you think? Does this work for you? Let's go for it. But include the staff in the solutions. That always helps. Give deadlines to say, okay, we need this major issue has to be solved by a week from Friday. Like whatever we have to do to make that happen, we have to meet, we have to take a day where all we're doing is that, then so be it. But stop the bleeding. That would be my number 1 thing, is stop the bleeding by what? Making a plan and taking action. Those are the 2 things that I believe in the accounting industry sometimes struggle with. Okay. Save that, action review in a safe place. And what we do, I suggest, I'm not a big Google Doc person. I feel like I'm not good at it. Like, I feel like I'm always trying to log in and I can't get in. I reset my password, I swear, every time I try to log into Google Sheets, but still a great place. Use a OneDrive, whatever it may be, but a great place for you to keep this list of great stuff, but pain points that you can add to as things are going, right? Which is even better. And that's where I would call not a historical look, but in live present time. So knowing as you're going, so save that in a safe place for review next year. But I say even take it a step further and review it regularly, continuing to add to it to solve the problems within that list as you go throughout the year. Okay, really important. So what about creating a plan? So we've got to have a plan. You're going to use that review as your basis. Again, assigning staff to each area that needs to be improved, again, with a deadline, because we all know procrastination is, usually the reason why we don't implement something or we don't make a change, because we procrastinate. We got a million things to do. I get it, right? I can just tell you, it took about 3 years to really nail down the technology and the integrations that I've set up for Powerful Accounting. So it's a process. What's really awesome about that process is that people can give you, like myself, I'm happy to share with you exactly how this worked for me. But it's really important that we take action, most importantly. So once we've identified and set our priorities, we want to go ahead and then assign that leader, right? And that's awesome. People make it their job. It doesn't have to be you only doing this. By the way, the staff actually really enjoy being a part of building a process. They feel a sense of ownership with it. So that's why I like to include the staff on it. And so, improvements, we want to talk about that improvement process. And in a way we can capture everything when it's fresh. Like, that's why you want to stop now. It's you've just gone through the January season. You've actually also gone through a whole entire year. Almost everybody here, I would imagine, has been involved in this profession for at least a year. Okay, so we want to have that continuous process. Keep it fresh in people's minds by documenting it when it happens, and maybe taking a hot second and saying, what priority level is this? And your staff you should make that communication open. Staff, come to me. Where are those pain points? Okay. And then certainly when you're implementing a process, this is super important. Share it with the team. Okay. Hey, we've come up with a solution and we've tested it, but we want to test it with everybody. So doing a dry run before we say, yeah, let's implement this. You're not going to change tax software in March. You're not going to do that. Right. So think about, depending on the priority and the time of year in which you're trying to make a change, just keep those things in consideration. There are applications that are fine to implement at any time, and there are applications that are fine to implement maybe not during your busiest time, which I don't know about you guys, but I've never not been busy. So really, it's just setting up those priorities. So I'm going to give you kind of a list of things that are common that you would maybe want to address. And this is the list, and then we're going to kind of go into them a little bit more detail. Missing W-9s. Okay. We know that that's definitely a problem. data silos where there's poor communication, where Nicole doesn't know I've already reached out to Bob and Bob's responded to me. Now Nicole asked the same question that I'd already asked Bob. We kind of look stupid, right? Or we're, too many places to look for things. I'm in, people are emailing me and then they're texting me and then they're doing this and then they're doing it's just craziness. And those too many places to look, that is wasting more time than you actually probably are willing to admit. I can tell you, and you'll see this in a slide a little bit later, but you're not going to catch me in here working 50, 60 hours a week, even during tax season, because we know exactly where things are. Things go in the same place at all times. There's rules, there's processes. And when you follow them, your efficiency and productivity goes through the roof, which equals profitability. Okay. And it makes you look like a superstar, by the way. An outdated process documentation. So, just having outdated systems. I'll tell you a quick little story about that. Interestingly enough, I when I first hired my first employee, I had her track her time in Excel. And this was, I would say, prior to the T-Sheets days. Okay. And I had her entering her time there. And at the end of the day, she would go into QuickBooks because it was a desktop only back then. And she would go into QuickBooks and she would enter her time by line. And that probably took her an hour, almost an hour a day, half an hour to an hour, because you had to put all her notes in there. I mean, copy, paste, you could do all of that, but it was just cumbersome because you're going in and out of people's files. So she's, it was like 15 to 25 lines a day of data, time, entry. That was so outdated and it frustrated her so badly. I hired my second employee and it was like, okay, now it's the second employee. Like now, how much is this really costing me for them to take this time? And that's when I found T-Sheets. Okay, now QuickBooks Time, but those outdated processes are likely bogging down your practice. Security concerns are also always an issue. So here's some suggestions, okay? And this is where I'm hoping that you can come out with some processes that will help you out. So to solve one of the most common things in January specifically is that you don't have all the W-9s you need. Now, number one, because you may not be doing the bookkeeping. You may just be doing the 1099s. You may be a service that just provides 1099 services or whatever. Or you're somebody else is doing the bookkeeping. They're not marking people eligible for 1099. So they're not doing that. Or someone on your staff is not doing that, where it's like, okay, we have this checklist of things we do for people every month, right? And it's clear cut. Here you go. Are all the bank accounts reconciled? Pull your transaction list by expense report. People are not doing that on a monthly basis. And because of that, here's where we have the issues. So we want to have a centralized, secure place for those digital W-9s. And that's what we would love to have, the digital W-9s. And I find that for small business owners, they really struggle with, even their own W-9s. Do you hear me? Right? So I'll have a client that'll email me or call me or text me, whatever they may do. And we'll talk about those behaviors in a little bit, but hey, can I get a copy of a W-9? I have to issue it to this person. And I'm like, I just kind of look at that like, I appreciate the fact that you can count on me, but I don't appreciate the fact that you don't even have a W-9 for your company. Like you're running your company, right? Dude, run your own company, right? Giggle about that. But so if they're not even paying attention to their own W-9 that they give to others, they're not paying attention to handing a $3,000 check to a subcontractor and saying, oh, I should probably get a W-9 because I have to issue those at year end. They don't do that work, so they don't think of it. So we help our clients manage that process. And we do that. We use Liscio for that process. We get the information from the vendor, email address. We send the W-9 as a task for that particular client. And that W-9 comes back into Liscio, they e-sign it, all that's done. And now we are managing that process every month. We pull that expense report for the month. We look to see if there are any new vendors. We look to see, people that are being paid their subcontractors. Again, maintaining them as you go. On a monthly basis, again, ensure you get those W-9s. You can use a Liscio template. That's the beauty. There's a template. It's not like this arduous process of trying to fill something out and then uploading it and then sending it and then they download it, they print it, they sign it. It's like, no, those days are gone and there's reasons why, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But we love that, having everything in one place is critical. We don't want to have to find W-9s in a permanent storage place and then also in this place and then by email, and they're emailing over social security numbers. That's a whole nother thing we'll talk about. But just making sure we have these W-9s covered. And the reason why is it's not like tax season where you get really from February 1st until either September 15th or October 15th to file that compliance. You have 30 days to file it. This is so important to nail this down. Okay. Now, breaking down these data silos just once and for all, this is the conversation about and why I hope that you're really paying attention to the fact that Liscio is what's going to solve for all these things. I think you kind of get that, right? So, because here's what we have common places where data gets trapped, what we're referring to as silos. Staff email inboxes. I don't know about you, but this girl does not have time to monitor my staff's emails to see if someone sent them something. We've got staff cell phone numbers. This is one of my biggest pet peeves, people. And we're going to talk about how the client wants to work with you. If they're texting you constantly, I promise you they're texting your staff. Okay. Text from clients with or without unusable pics of documents. They're sending these to a cell phone that we don't know what Wi-Fi they're on or not on, or any of those security implications. But most importantly, I don't want my clients texting my staff. I want them to use an app where I can see the communications between my staff and my clients. Maybe there becomes just think about this. You get a call from a client and they're like, she's just not been responding, or her responses are really strange. Or I have had a situation where, hey, I just want to let you know, your staff kind of offered to do bookkeeping services to me on the side, but Dawn, I've been with you for 15 years. I just want to kind of give you a heads up. Thankfully, the client thought of me enough to do that. But I want to be sure that I'm controlling that conversation as the firm owner. Really important. So again, I mentioned this before, the texting through Liscio. It's not your traditional, just open up your cell phone and grab a contact and text them. You literally go into the app to send a message. You can do it either on your phone or through the computer. Don't get hung up on that right now. So that's important. Client drives, they've got Google Drives, OneDrive, Dropbox, and now you're logging into 80 things, you guys. Like, hello, I don't want to have to worry about going to find, where's that link to my client's Google Drive where she's uploading all the W-9s, or, they're sending me a link to Google Drive and I can't stink and figure out how to get into the Google Drive half the time, like I said before, but I just want to make sure that everything that I need to touch is in the place that I expect it to be. A little selfish maybe, but I know I need to be productive. Paper documents are a whole nother thing. Most people don't even deal in paper documents. And I want to just tell you a quick little story. I have an older gentleman, he has a smartphone, Facebook. He's like, Brolin, why aren't we friends on Facebook? And so he Facebooks me and all this. He's an older gentleman. His wife passed away a few years ago. His family moved him to North Carolina. He was here in Connecticut. He's devastated. Do you know why he's devastated? Because he doesn't get to come here and have a tax plan with DawnBrolin. Because we have fun here at Powerful Accounting, because we have to have fun, right? But he is so devastated. He's like, well, I don't have a printer and how am I supposed to send you my documents? And I said, buddy, I got it all figured out for you. We implemented an app last summer, and I'm going to have you, all you have to do is take your phone, and it has a scanner in this app. You open this app, takes 2 seconds, and you can scan your documents just like that. And then I can give you the tax return through that same app so you can see it. And you can also sign your 8879s. It'll be so easy. Like, he almost started crying on the phone with Tracy because we had something that we could meet him with, and because things were kind of out of his control. Again, paper documents are definitely a challenge. And the JPEG pictures people take, I can't always read them. Those things are difficult. So we want to, again, have an easy way for them to communicate that to us. And of course, the biggest trap of all, at the client's office and not sent to you. So it's like, oh, it's there, but they haven't sent it to us. I can't get there. Or, my documents, I have to go on my desk and get my piece of paper. Helping them understand how to run their business better is an even bigger bonus with Liscio, because guess what? Your clients can use it too. So as you're helping as that trusted advisor, help your clients learn more and learn how to run their business, here you are. So how are we going to solve that? So these pain points that I just went through, how is Liscio going to solve for that? It's going to get your clients off email. And we'll talk about this again, like I said, later. Your clients are not reading their emails like we may be reading our emails. We are in here on our computers at all times. Most of our clients are not. They're running a restaurant. They're out doing electrical work. They're doing this. They're doing that. And you want answers throughout the day. I'm not going to send them an email. I'm going to send them a text through Liscio, because they're going to see Liscio is my lifeline. Call a friend, like phone a friend. Liscio is phone a friend with your clients. They look at a notification that pops up with Liscio and they know their accountant is trying to get in touch with them. And if you're a business owner, your accountant better be stinking important, because if they're not, we got a bigger problem. Okay. This gives the clients an alternative to texting. So it's messaging. We're going to call it messaging. It's not texting, it's messaging through an app, which replaces that texting functionality. Again, and all that data and activity in one place. It has that built-in mobile scanner. No more difficulty in trying to read it. No more concern about the fact that they're scanning a document that has their social security number on it because of the security around Liscio. Easy. The clients love to use it. The first client we tried it with, we sent the link. We said, hey, we're starting this new application. It's called Liscio. We're going to send you a text to your mobile app, download the app, create yourself a login, and you're going to see tasks sitting in there that we need you to take care of. And so the task says, hey, scan and upload a copy of your CP575, your original EIN letter. I need to make sure you're filing properly. Goes into the task, clicks on it, scans, document here, seconds, moments even. I would even go so far as to say moments. The staff, again, has the visibility to all clients, the tasks, the documents, and signatures. It's all there. If DawnBrolin, which she will be in Florida at spring training, and she's not going to necessarily be at her computer, but I have the app on my phone and somebody sends me a message and I can respond to it. Hello. I can get that done. I can do all of that from wherever I am. I don't have to be sitting in a chair. It's beautiful. To move fast, staff need those documents on time and centralized. When I'm doing a tax return, thank you, Joe, miss you, buddy. So having that ability to have that communication is going to keep me productive as I'm doing a tax return, or I'm doing year-end W-9s, or I'm doing monthly requests for W-9s. Really important. And yes, we're going to talk, Charlotte, we will talk about some other apps that I'm using. I promise you. If you go to DawnBrolin.com too, you can see my whole tech stack. It's all there for you. Have at it. You can also get a copy of the book, which also has all the tech in it, just as a sidebar. So optimizing data flow. We do not want to be downloading and uploading. We want things to be cloud to cloud. So that's why we want to have Liscio being able to grab those documents and do those things. Enhances the speed, again, of the productivity of your firm. Security, convenience for the client is super important. We've got to meet them where they are. I don't want to download reports to my hard drive. My download box used to at least get really overloaded. And that was really annoying. When it comes to emails were the death of me. I don't know about you guys, but emails are brutal. You come in the morning and you've got another 50 emails, because maybe your East Coast time and the Pacific Coast time, people work for an extra 3 hours, right? That's the way I see it. I come in and now I've got 25 more emails that I have to address. Well, when am I going to ever sit down and actually do something? How can I get these 1099s done if all I'm doing is managing my emails? We have to get out of emails, people. And this is a way to do it. It's amazing visibility for the team. Again, everybody's on the same page at all times without having to have meetings. Don't know about you and your firm, but I was at a firm for 6 years, 3 months, and 1 day. And you know what we were the best thing at? We were the best at meeting. We were meeting. You know how unproductive most meetings are? I'm sure if I was to do a polling question on that, I'd get a lot of yes, amen. My hand is up as well. I want to minimize those meetings. I want to keep people productive. I'm okay with my staff only working 6 hours a day. If they're getting their work done and they're productive, I don't need their butts in the seat for 8 hours, especially if they have an app on their phone. And if they want to go to their kids' soccer game at 3 o'clock, go to the game. Just keep your eye on your Liscio app so you can make sure we're answering communications in a timely fashion. Because if I don't, somebody else is going to. But none of that cloud to cloud. We want to live right. We want to be cloud to cloud, not cloud to desktop. We don't want to go up and down. Again, something really important. Now we're going to start talking about getting clients to do their part, right? It's all well and good if we are doing internal improvements within our firm, right? But what about the role the clients play, right? Because if without the clients participating, our staff will not be successful. We want them to be. We want them to get it done. We can't do our work until we have everything, period. So we're going to move to the next polling question. So polling question 2, Katie, if you launch that out there, so you'll be good. Don't worry about being late. We got you. Katie, you there? Let's launch that polling question. There we go.
It's actually Allison's who's launching it, and I'm like big fumble fingers here.
Oh, look at you though, stepping in, you crushed it.
Fumble bumble. No, Katie couldn't do it because she's not the host. Yeah.
Oh, because Allison's the host of all. She's always been great
Yeah,
at that.
yeah, but I'm actually a terrible host.
Oh,
So,
I don't
but
think so.
Dawn, we have some questions. So let's get through this poll and then maybe we could
Let's
just move
get
to the
some.
and well, maybe we could move to the next, get through the poll. Well, let's start, but then not leave everybody sitting on
On their
the
questions.
poll. Well, just sitting on it. It's boring for people to look at but we've had a number of people ask if they're going to get the slide deck and the recording. Yes, you will. David was asking, it'd be awesome to learn what project management software Dawn uses. And so
Yeah.
Katie shared your starting lineup in the link in the chat, but maybe you could answer David's question.
Yeah, so I'm using Carbon. So Carbon and Liscio are integrated. They're working together. They're friends. So we use Carbon. We use it because we use Lacert tax software, which also integrates with Carbon. And it allows us to track all of our, so I was mentioning tasks earlier, right? I said how, you've got all these tasks that you have to follow in order to get your 1099s done. We got to reconcile books. We got to do this. We got to do these certain things. Check it. Yep, books are reconciled. As you're checking off. And so what Carbon will do is everyone in the firm can see that checklist. So if I ever want to go, a client calls me, hey, what's going on with my 1099s? I can go into Carbon, I can click on the work because there's a work that's created, and I can go into the tasks and I can look and I can say, oh, it looks like it says, okay, we don't have all the 1099, the W-9s from your people. We'll go into Liscio and go look in the tasks and say, hey, listen, you got some tasks in Liscio, you're not paying attention. This is where it is. But Carbon lets me know where we are in the process. And then we go to the tool to go ahead and implement whatever it is we're doing. So we're using Carbon.
That's amazing. That's a great answer and how they work together. And that actually helps. That actually leads right into another question was Hannah asked, and then I've got the results sharing just so people can see it. Hannah asked, how do you frame the conversation with a client to avoid them feeling called to task and getting defensive or combative?
And I think that's one of the things I love about using Liscio is it sends out it's not like we're constantly calling them. I'm not relying on email, which I do find to be so counterproductive, but it's a soft push, a soft nudge to say, hey, when you're ready to deal with accounting, you can go in one place to deal with your accounting, with your questions I would say questions from your accountant or communications or document exchange between us and the clients. We found that to be such a soft nudge and a soft push because they're used to working within applications on their phone or even sitting at their computer, that they're like, wow, this is easy. I can choose when I respond. Obviously, we need them to be responding as timely as possible, but it allows them to be in control of the response. And they're not looking in email or looking in their text. They're not having the same frustrations we have with them. They don't have that frustration with us because they can go to one place to do that communication. I think that gives them a peace of mind. Does that make sense? Are you there, Allison?
It does. It
Okay.
does. I'm sorry. I was talking and I accidentally put myself on mute. You see, I'm not qualified actually to be
You
a
are,
host.
honey. You're fine.
I'm not
It's
qualified to be
fun.
the host of a webinar. Let's get going because I think the other thing, the only other question that I want to share is a couple of people asked if they missed a poll. We're not actually giving CPE today, so the polls are just for engagement. So don't worry if you missed a poll. If you're an overachiever, we can send it to you later, but you don't need to worry.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. And I say, hello, Patrice. How are you? So fun. Okay, any more questions? Are we going to go ahead and move on?
Let's move on because
All
you've
right,
got a
cool.
lot more meat to show.
I do. And Jane, don't you worry. I'll be throwing in other apps as we go here, but certainly if you want to go to that link, you'll find out some information. You can always reach out to me too, shoot me an email or something. So accountants and bookkeepers spend up to 40% of their time searching and gathering client documents. And I'm going to tell you, I know this factually. And I know this because, well, first of all, Accounting Web declared in May of 21 that it was about 40%. I can support that. Because prior to 2019, I was in this office 60 to 70 hours a week. And you know what? Being in an office for 60, 70 hours a week doesn't mean you're being productive, by the way, because I can sit in this office for 16 hours a day and, have Netflix on for 4 of those hours, right? But for me, I realized in 2019, when I started assistant coaching, that I need to grab back 3 hours of my day. How was I going to do that? And I did that through the implementation of applications that were good for me. And through these 3 years, I've nailed it down because I don't want to miss one day of practice or one game. So I can support this 40%. I mean, this is a crazy percentage, but it's true. Means every 10 hours works, there's 4 hours wasted, non-value add, right? This adds up over the year about 800 hours wasted per staff person. Now, think about how that multiplies. Think about the cost associated with that and the drain on your staff. Think about the mental drain as well. So again, we're just trying to get ourselves a grasp around this issue in this topic. So why don't clients send their documents on time? Well, we have to understand their day at the end of the day. I've got a restaurant owner. She actually owns 4 businesses now. 4 businesses. She's running all over the place. I get her when I can get her. That's kind of the attitude we've had, because the reality is clients see your clearly worded emails. Now, we are pretty descriptive, I believe, in the accounting profession, that we are pretty descriptive about exactly what we want from them. And we feel like we have to explain it to the T. Right. And so they look, I know for me, I have one person sent me this email and it was like this long. And I looked at it and I go, yeah, that's going to have to be when I'm actually functional. That is way too much. And that's the burden we put on our clients in a lot of cases. We're not sending them a task. We're sending them this huge, this major paper a thesis we're sending them for them to answer questions within. It's too much. Most of the time, they're on their cell phone. They don't want to respond to an email with all their text, but if they can go into an application and just take a picture of whatever it was we asked for, scan it, they're very, very happy because they can get an answer back to us, and that's cleared out of their tasks. When they're at work, they've got their own priorities. They've got their own clients to deal with. They're trying to make money, serve their clients as well. They're not going to camp on their email waiting for you. Just not going to happen. And that's part of our trouble and our challenge. So we have to think about, your email drops down and down in their inbox. How many emails do you get a day? And that we send an email at 12 o'clock. By 5 o'clock, when maybe they can start addressing emails, they've got 50. And they're not looking for yours. They're not looking for yours. So we've got to solve for that. We've got to meet them where they are, is kind of the way I think about it. Think like the client thinks. If they text you or they want to text you, it means they want to use their phone, period. The millennials are not going to read email, and they don't own scanners, and they don't have printers. And I can say that because I own one. I own 2. I own 2 millennials, and they just don't want to do that. I've got to be able to meet my client where they are to be able to exchange things securely, most important. And your solution has got to match their busy mobile lives. So you can come up with a solution that you think may work, but is that going to work for the client? And so that's kind of the balance I feel like I've been searching for over the years, is the balance between what I need and what they need. Now, let me just give you this little tidbit. For those of you who have your procedures for onboarding a client, let's use 1099 season as a great example. We set expectations. We send an engagement letter to the client, and we give them due dates on exactly what they have to do. We give them due dates. We say, here's the deal. This is what we have to have. But the way we had to communicate with them was easy. So when we can set a template, and that's one of the great things about Liscio, is we have it's like an email template, is I guess an easy way to put it, where we can send that engagement letter to all of these clients. They sign them all. That batch send for me, I don't have to send one email at a time or one document at a time. It's all going out in bulk, and we're able to assign those to people. It just makes it so much easier to get these documents from clients. And we're going to see a little bit more of that. So of course, instead of emailing and waiting for the response, you're going to send them a message, and it's going to document that message. Everyone can see it. Everybody knows what's going on. It minimizes the time that I spend with Tracy. She's my administrative assistant. She can go into Liscio and look for herself. She doesn't need to bother me while I'm trying to be productive. She can go look up for the answers herself. A typical messaging, people answer within 6 minutes. When you have this, there's a setting, notified by a text feature. But I'm telling you, the real-time messaging is people want the information real time. So when I'm saying texting, we're going to talk about messaging. So as we know, and I know for myself on the weekends, and I know I may be harping on this, but it's so true, with the texting that you have on the weekend. Okay. Number one, they're texting you on the weekend with your personal cell phone. I can tell you right here, before I found Liscio, this is what I did. I went out and I bought 2 cell phones. Well, I bought an extra cell phone. I had what was my personal cell phone. And I was like, they're texting me on the weekends. They're calling me and I feel guilty. I'm a people pleaser. I want to service my clients, but I don't want to do it at night or on the weekends anymore, unless I choose to, right? So I bought a second phone. Then I found Liscio. Now I got to get rid of the other phone because I don't need it. Just don't need it. I've got Liscio on my phone now. But that was just one of the things. But if they want responses quickly and I see a message come in, I just go in there and pop in and go, yeah, no problem. And now I can say, all right, I can even assign that to one of my team members. I can tag it as a follow-up or whatever it may be. It's going to allow them to have that ability to communicate with you, but they're going to get that information. And like I said before, it's their lifeline to you. That's the way I sell it. I sell it and propose it to my clients. Listen, this is the direct line to me. You've always wanted my personal cell phone, haven't you? Well, yeah. Well, here it is. This is my personal cell phone. You have direct contact with me through messaging at all times. And that just solves the problem. Okay. Clients, they don't have scanners. They can't print. They can't print and they don't have scanners. But specifically with scanners, a lot of times we're getting pictures. People are sending us pictures, even through emails. They're JPEGs through email. You know what I have to do with those JPEGs? In order to get them in a functional, this is where I get them a lot, an IRS notice or a 1099 notice or a quarterly payroll return or a sales tax notice, whatever it may be. And I have to respond to that. They send me the notice in a JPEG and it shows me this much of the page and only page 1. And I'm like, guys, I need the whole letter. There's more in that letter than you think. So I need you to take a picture, I say to them, but I say scan in your mobile app, in your Liscio app. Scan every single page. Here's the best part about it. You can read the notice. You can actually read it. It's not all fuzzy. And if you need to respond to the notice or respond to whatever it may be, or enter the W-9 into tax 1099 or whatever software you're using, regardless, you can read the tax ID number. I know that's crazy. You can read the address, the zip code, the 0 doesn't look like an 8 when you scan it. Okay. That in and of itself is a home run, because especially during the busy season, January, you're trying to get this stuff. You got to be able to read what they're sending. And a lot of times it comes through as an HTML file or some kind of XML file. You can't open it. It's like, what do you want to open this with? Well, it's not really a file we can open. Okay. You guys get the gist of that. So sending them with a scanner. Keep clients on track with their text alerts, mobile reminders for overdue tasks. You set them up. Hey, listen, Bing. And like you asked that question a little bit before, it's a soft, hey, reminder. Hey, remember you were going to do this last night. You didn't do it. Let's get this done tonight. Liscio is going to send those automatic reminders for us. Awesome. Okay. So here's that value add that somebody was asking about. This is how I am able to work during tax season. On average, 38 hours a week. That I can get 300 returns done and get my fraud case work, my IRS representation work, whatever client accounting services that we provide to get that done. This is the primary focus of my tech stack. There are other techs that we use, especially in client accounting services. I just want to throw one in here that's not on here. It's called Bookkeep. If you have not checked it out, bookkeep.com. You want to talk about year-end accounting or even through the month. It's amazing. Reach out to me. It's the best app. One of the best apps from a client accounting services I've found in a long time. Bookkeep.com. Love it. But here we go. We have client communications and all of our document exchange, everything happening through Liscio. Carbon is tracking with all of our work, our actual work, with our tasks, the things that we as a firm need to do, whether it's administrative or for clients. It's all in one place. Everyone can see everything. QuickBooks Online, we happen to use. We're using Lacert for tax software. Lacert, which works with SmartVault. SmartVault also works with Liscio. We just don't have that diagram up right now, but Liscio and SmartVault integrate as well, which is another key factor when you're deciding on applications and what you're going to use. We have DocuSign, which also works with SmartVault in some cases, but we've been moving more towards the Liscio solution than using DocuSign. So we're in a transition mode with that right now. We have a software called Quotient. Our onboarding process, which we're going to be doing a full-blown tutorial educational series when it comes through to onboarding a new client through the end for client accounting services, for tax, for IRS representation, for fraud. Our onboarding process is phenomenal. Okay. And obviously part of that is all of these applications participate in that process. Quotient, people are getting quotes. Canopy, if you are doing any IRS work, you've got to have Canopy. Pulling transcripts, doing offers and compromise, all those kind of things. It also has, a lot of integrations with other applications, but Canopy has been a home run. And the last one, if you happen to be doing, again, oh yeah, that onboard, Patrice, I've got you. We are working on it right now to get it all filmed, all done. Call NQ. You want to get in the front of the line with the IRS, whether you're calling for payroll inquiries, you're calling for estimated tax payments. Again, I don't know everybody here if you're doing client accounting only or you're doing tax and other things, but Call NQ is an amazing call line that you can usually get in much quicker to the IRS. So just love it. So and if you go to DawnBrolin.com, you'll see this reference to a starting lineup. I believe I referenced everything to softball because softball is my passion. I love it. As you can imagine, I'm a psycho on the softball field in such a great, fun, positive way, of course. But each application plays a role in your firm as much as each player and position is on a team. Whether you're playing soccer, football, softball, it doesn't matter. Or if we have certain positions in our office. I've got an administrative person. I have someone who does tax. I have someone who does client accounting services only. I have somebody who's handling sales tax, whatever that may be. But each application, and this is why I'm saying, look back to see what those pain points were, because you're probably missing a player on your team. And a player doesn't have to be a person. A player can be an application. Okay. Liscio for client communication, secure document exchange, everything we just kind of talked about. I use Carbon, or Intuit Practice Management is also good, which is powered by Carbon for your team workflow and keeping track of your work and things like that. QBO and QBOA, QuickBooks Desktop, still a desktop lover, but I happen to use QBO now because I don't need anything fancy. I'm using that. Lacert is for my tax work. I love it. Smart Vault is my permanent storage facility. So thinking about Liscio is exchanging documents in real time. Smart Vault is where you put them permanently. Okay, I get a lot of questions about what's the difference. Okay, that's what I would consider just a quick overview of importance. DocuSign integrates with Lacert and Smart Vault. You can use Adobe Sign, which is in Liscio. That's great for knowledge-based authenticated 2848s, or not 2840s, 8879s. I got to get the IRS to give us the 2848 through knowledge-based authentication. I don't know who I have to beat up for that, but somebody got to go down for it. So, so we've got to get that moving forward. But I currently use Quotient. I'm taking a look at Practice Ignition currently to maybe move in that direction. I know their engagement letter functionality and things like that are great. Canopy for pulling transcripts, like I said, and Call NQ to be able to get those transcripts. To get in line if you need to call for various things. Really, really awesome. Okay, polling question number 3. Just again, we want to learn more about what you're looking for, what you're interested in. So go ahead and launch, Allison, that third polling question again. You want more information about Liscio, yes or no? Again, what's most important to me is that you're at least, because you're here on this webinar, I know you're serious about making some changes, because we're looking back to say what happened in the 1099 season. And really, honestly, you guys, and you know this, what's happening now? What are you doing now to get your client accounting services clients ready for tax prep, right? Erica uses, she already uses Liscio, and she says Practice Ignition. Awesome. So I'm going to be Sean Duncan's a good buddy of mine, and he's somebody who does only advisory work. He got out of tax. And he really recommended that. So that's something after tax season that we're going to take a look at implementing. So more information about Liscio. But anyway, I'm hoping that as you're going through this webinar, that you're really sitting and taking I still use a notebook, you guys. I don't know about you, but I still got to write things down to remind me of things. But I hope during this webinar, you've been writing down pain points and things that you want to change and research. And you can certainly, I'm an asset to you. I hope I'm an asset. I'm assuming that's silly. But I'm a resource for you in any way, shape, or form that I can help you improve your process. I met with a firm on Monday, trying to help them get some things in place because they just need to improve their process, still printing out tax returns, like the majority, where I probably print 5 a year. Everything is just automated. Everything is in the cloud to cloud to cloud. So that's okay. Go ahead and close that poll, Allison. We're good there.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and close. Thank you to those of you who answered that.
Do we have any
Great.
additional questions at this point that we want to grab?
Yeah, Caitlin had a question about what do you use to track time and bill clients? And I think that's probably the one that was most relevant to answer before you bop into the morale and productivity area.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm using QuickBooks Time. The only suggestion I would have for Intuit, if they're listening, is to make the two-factor authentication, make it just say QB time and then the code, because I got to keep clicking on the text. You see how simple that sounds?
Yeah, that sounds like a very simple thing. We get these little delighters, right? So my
Absolutely.
suggestion, having been worked at Intuit, everybody is, and to you also, Dawn, is
Yeah.
see if you can get a screen cap of it.
Yeah,
And then send it over to your contact at QB Time and ask them to send it to the product manager.
absolutely. Yep. I've already got a
Yep.
person that I'm in touch with
Yep.
to make
And
that
then
change.
what
It
quickly,
seems
what are you
fine.
doing about billing? Billing, how do you
Yes.
bill your clients?
Sure. So we do, for client accounting services, we have a mix. We have some on time, and the reason they're on time is because they're a total train wreck, and we don't have them in a process yet because they've been a wreck. For those that are, we have just been going onward, we do value billing. But for those that we do bill by the hour, all of my fraud case work, all of our 1099s are done by the hour because of the a little bit of the chasing, but more of it's just a different animal every year. Hard to kind of just be a solid fee. But when I do it by the hour, we track in QuickBooks Time, and then we send that, we use QBO. So we send, what I think also love, just as a sidebar, when we use QuickBooks Time, I can send that time into QBO for billing. I can also send it to ADP for
Yeah.
payroll.
Yeah, so the integrations is really important. And I think there was a number of questions that came through about different integrations. And so that's where you want to look at like your primary tech stack. Like what are the ones, what are the applications that you just couldn't live without? Right? That's what we
Absolutely.
think about Liscio. You actually can use Liscio with anything that you can print to
Absolutely.
PDF. Like I just want to let that sink in. Anything you can print to PDF, you can send to your clients securely through Liscio. And then the other integrations are like, where do you send the documents or where can you get the documents from? So David was asking, curious as to why the use of Smart Vault when Liscio stores documents already. Let's try and answer that one super fast. But I think for you, Dawn, it's in that Smart Vault has the integrations with the tax programs, right?
Yeah, so if I'm printing tax returns, so what I can
Yep.
do is print all the tax returns to Smart Vault, and then I can go into Liscio, grab the tax return and send it to them through Liscio in a secure app fashion. And then they can store that on their app, right? But Smart Vault is that permanent document storage.
It's
I
firm,
have everything.
it's firm storage, isn't it? So
Firm
you think of
storage.
Liscio as client storage and so they work together, and that's where you kind of want to think about what are you hiring that app to do? I always think
Absolutely.
about you're hiring an app because if you weren't hiring the app, you'd be hiring extra people, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
let's move on. Sorry, everybody. I know
Sure.
there's questions flying in. We'll try and get them answered, but there's more value for you in this webinar that I want to make sure Dawn has time to cover.
Absolutely. And we will take those questions, whatever we don't finish answering, we will take those questions and create a whole nother webinar on all your questions. So don't worry about that. Keeping morale and productivity up. This is important. And as a firm leader, that's our job. We don't want to work more than 40 hours per week. My firm, no one in my firm, I think maybe in January, we had the client accounting services person, Nicole, who does the primary work on the 1099s, might have worked 42 hours 1 week. And we just don't. We want to keep that morale up. We want them to make the same money doing less work. It helps them think about the efficiencies that are or are not there. So just think about, even during busy season, it's softball season, man. I'm on the softball field. All right. We have to be more organized and more productive in order to accomplish this. So we have to have dedicated work blocks. When are you going to work? Like I go 9 to 3, don't bother me. Like that's rhymed. It's kind of fun, but no interruptions from phones, no night emails, keeping everyone being able to be flowing as they go. Okay. So using tech to help. And there was a study, this is really interesting. UC Davis, done by Gloria Marks. It found it takes 25 minutes to get back to the task at hand if you get interrupted. Just let that sink in for a hot second. 25 minutes to get back to the task at hand. I'm doing a tax return, a phone call comes in. It takes me 25 minutes to get back in my groove. That's not okay. Have dedicated, this is a great little tip. Dedicated work blocks, 90-minute blocks with no interruptions. I need to get this client's 1099s done, or I need to get these books done for this reason. This 90 minutes dedicated to them. I'm shutting everything off. Okay. I like to put music in the background. That's my thing. Make sure that you're communicating, have the staff make a list of things they need to discuss with other staff. instead of sending Slack messages because you get the ding and you're like, oh my goodness, I got to go solve Nicole's problem. No, I don't. I need to focus on this for 90 minutes, then I'll go help her out, right? Those are the kind of things that we have to do. No emails at night. We keep them in the app. They won't go in their email. And when you get up in the morning, yeah, you'll have some stuff in Liscio, but guess what? The stuff that's in Liscio is productive. It's billable. In Liscio, it's billable. Outside of Liscio, it's administrative. It's garbage. It's interrupting you. It's distracting you. That's the stuff we need to focus on. Use the technology to help you get there. No picking up, putting down. If we don't have all the documents, and we do a little bit rely on the client to say, yeah, you've got all the W-9s, they're all there. Okay, we're going to go do this. Or all of my tax documents are there. I've got them all uploaded. We may find something here and there that they missed, but the bulk of it, we won't touch it till we have everything. And this was really hard for us because last year we were kind of, working through email and other things. But this year with Liscio, we had probably 15 returns done by the 3rd of February because people were just sending their documents. We were just getting their information. We're pumping out returns. We're fired up, ready to go, making it happen. Okay, Charlotte, I know I have three staff people, but I've been on my own before. I wish I had this when I was on my own. It's even more important because if you think about it, the volume of information you as one person have to go through on a daily basis, not all of it's client stuff, by the way, and that is a distractor. So being able to stay focused in Liscio focuses you on your most productive work. Okay, here's just some security tips. We're not opening attachments to email. Everything goes cloud to cloud. The staff is using a hosting solution. We have use that for everything. That's us, which by the way, Swissnet, you need to take a look at them. That's another application that's going to talk more about the security at the internal level, but they also do hosting. That's a whole nother webinar. We're going to be doing a couple of those coming up. Regular training and review of how this all works with security policies. It's really important. We don't want to email or text documents, email through regular email, conventional email, or through documents. Have all your communications go through Liscio. It's secure. It's encrypted at rest and in transit. This is super important. At rest and in transit, meaning I take the scan of the document, that's kind of at rest. It's encrypted at the moment that scan is happening. And then as it is transmitted to us, to the firm, it's also encrypted. It's a quiet space where your staff and your clients live is where the productivity happens. And it gives frequent reminders automatically, which we need. Okay. So next steps in Q&A. I know we went through a lot here. We tried to answer.
We've been doing the Q&A as we've going. So I feel good about that. Yeah.
I do
so
too.
I think the next steps is just to think about all your, think about your last season and where you can improve. And
Absolutely.
then, yeah, and make your list. And then if Liscio can help you at all in solving that issue of not getting client documents on time, please let us know.
Yeah.
We'd love to give you a demo, and Liscio is super easy. It works with everything you use now.
Absolutely. And I'm always a resource for you. So you're like, I want to learn more about this, or I want to learn, well, how do you do this? How do you do that? People are reaching out to me like crazy. Go to DawnBrolin.com and join my my starting lineup area. I've got a practitioner website area that I have other resources that I put out there. Feel free to visit me. But if you've got questions, don't hesitate to use me as a resource. That's what I'm here for. So thank you so much for having me, Allison. I appreciate it.
I just want to thank you, Dawn, as usual. It was so great. And thank you everyone for joining us. I know, February can be busy. You got your year ahead of you, and I hope that 2022 is just a fantastic year for you.
Absolutely.
And we're here to help. All right, so we're going to go ahead and end it. There's lots of questions left, and we didn't get to them. But Dawn, I love your idea of taking them and creating a webinar around it.
That's what we're doing.
We'll do that.
Awesome.
All right, thanks everyone. I'm going to end the webinar now. Thank you again so much for attending.